Steve, we're here and we're talking about Stalker 2. We are the two newest Stalkers on the block, and holy is this game punishing. We're both about 6 to 8 hours in, maybe a little bit beyond that, but it is really difficult. If I'm going to score this game out of 10, this is getting an 8 from me, but there is a lot of problems we're going to have to talk about.
Yep. Actually, Scott, I'm actually a little bit lower than you. I'm actually going with 7.5. I loved the intro beginning. I thought graphically it looks absolutely amazing. Issues I had, it would have been nice to know what the game was about. I had to look it up to see what the premise of the story was. And you do start off as a guy called Skif, that your apartment has been destroyed by an anomaly. You're a veteran, a war veteran, and you're out basically doing side jobs to make money to buy a new house. But you don't get the info to start off with. There is 3 different settings to start off with: a rookie, a stalker, and then veteran. And I started off as a stalker, and I have to say, it is not forgiven at all. I have to say, my first gripe is the balance between the story and the combat was not balanced at all. It's very one-sided, and I died so many times.
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult. I'm going to call this one the Dark Souls of shooters. And that's going to make a lot of sense, beginning with that story. There is a huge, rich story to this game, but it's really going to have to make you work for it. And that comes in the form of talking to a lot of the different stalkers around, kind of getting that immersive experience and getting the environmental storytelling. So instead of a whole lot of exposition, it's more of you're finding little scraps, little notes here and there, a lot of rubble, and kind of piecing together what happens there. But it's also very difficult in the sense that Dark Souls is, where every combat encounter could be your last, and that's something that takes a little while to get used to. But I have to say, this leads to one of the positives for sure. The standout of this game is some of the combat avoidance, you could say. There's a lot of elements of these things where you're dealing with mutants and things, and you really just have to run. And I kind of like that. That's humbling. But when it comes up against other people, sometimes you're collecting on debt, so you're checking on just people doing a wellness check. But a lot of the time, you're confronted with a conversation before that fight. And you can sometimes talk your way out of fighting, but I found more often than not, I got a quick hand and a quick draw, and I put them down before they can put me down. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and this game will remind you of it at every corner.
Yes, and I would say, like you said, talk about the weapons. I do like the idea as well. There is plenty of lore around. Just bearing in mind as well is you can travel slowly if you carry too much inventory. So be wary of that. As I found out the hard way, that you don't move at all. Also, a lot of the weapons you pick up are damaged. And unfortunately, you cannot trade or sell damaged weapons. So you have to find repair kits. Also, they don't work on currency or money. It's work on coupons. The other sort of thing I would have liked in this open world game is possibility of getting a vehicle instead of walking everywhere. From going from point A to point B, because you will do a lot of walking in this, and again you have stamina, so your health will deteriorate, so you have to start popping those energy drinks to sort of get your stamina up, or eating food. But then you're also dealing with radiation as well as
but there's vodka for that.
There's vodka for that. You have stalkers as well. You have jumping rats.
And those are the worst.
It kind of feels weird. It's like they just threw everything into this game, and everything is happening at the same time. And overall, I am having a good time, and it's only taken me the last 48 hours for everything to start clicking. But there is still, for me, there is still some issues. I still find the mechanics of the weapons, I found a bit spongy. I've taken down a few mutants, and they've gone down, emptied like 2-3 clips, and then they've got up again. And then I have to unload another, And I've also had some glitchy moments as well when you explore and you'll come across campfires that you can sit down and there'll be other stalkers there. Some of them don't say anything, but they'll just keep walking around, and they'll kind of walk in midair or walk over the top of each other. Very glitchy on some bits like that.
Yeah, it is very visually very jumpy. Some things work and some things don't. There's some clipping issues that I've seen, but it wasn't really enough to sour my experience on it. One strange just aside was the audio. Everybody's got different accents, and that makes sense, but some of the accents don't quite line up properly, and that was a little strange. But again, this is a bit of a scrapped together game. There's a lot of glitching going to it, and for some reason the fan base from the games prior were used to that, and it doesn't hold back the experience whatsoever. Being my first time in, I noticed a little bit of that jank, but it's called Euro jank, and it's art.